Hi, you. It's me, Nicole for NikStarr, and this is a NikStarr podcast. So, I am in the middle of a 21-day immersion with a student of mine who has come to live in my house for 21 days. I am feeding her all the macro nutrient dense foods aligned for her wellness journey. I am buying all the food and making it all. We've worked out her whole wellness plan, working out her macros for her, tracking her calories. So she's in a calorie deficit because she wishes to have some weight loss as well as build her immune system and as well as kind of get her completely on track, balance her hormones and all the things, doing yin yoga, going walking. Yesterday we did a medicine journey therapy session that went for many hours. And there's a whole lot of other things I have planned for her, but it's about stepping into the self-devotion and shifting the concept of discipline into devotion. We were going to do workouts, but she's got a little injury right now and just needs to not put too much stress on her body. And so we're supplementing more yin yoga for stretching and getting into a fascia and stuff. And we'll bring in some lighter workouts in the coming weeks. And so it's an all-inclusive thing. So I gave her a price to include all the food, all the supplements. And so, yeah, getting her on different supplements and, yeah, just showing her how to hack the macros with different things. And it's like all the fun. I'm in my happy place, and there's a lot of talk sessions where we talk about things that are coming up, talk about things that she's worked on before, and it's just an all-inclusive everything. So it's not just physical stuff. It's about a daily meditation practice and working on things, modules of evolution, and practicing, being in awakened realization state. And a lot of changes in our life too. So it's interesting. I used to do, when I had a baby and a breastfeeding toddler, I used to do live-in immersions in Bali when I needed to be close to my baby. And then when he got older, I outsourced our space and we would go into a villa or accommodation or whatever and do it that way. And it's going to continue to evolve because next year, first time I've said this, Leo's going to boarding school. Oh my God. I will have time and space during the term that I have not had for almost 12 years. And I have a couple of people lined up and I'm going into their houses. So I will do immersions in people's homes so that we can spend time in their kitchen, showing them how to feed themselves and going through movement and doing, sessions on aspects of their life, things they're working through, and modules for their evolution. And that's a whole new thing I've never done before. And I'm super, super, super excited about that. Yeah. So in next month, our lease finishes up here, and my daughter is moving in with a boyfriend, and Leo and I are moving out. We're actually house sitting for a while, and then he'll be off to boarding school, and then I will become a professional house sitter and immersion doer and whatever. And it's a whole big situation, and maybe I'll do a whole podcast on that alignment and wild unfolding and completely shift and change in my life. I am so excited. And there's also this whole fascinating thing about us changing our dynamic, and Leo's really excited about boarding school. He'll be going to boarding school in Brisbane, and there will be times where he's at school and I'll be house sitting. I'll be doing immersions in other people's places, and I'll also be traveling. And I hope to become a European house sitter in the future, where I can go and house sit in various countries in Europe for a month or so. And yeah, the whole world is becoming limitless with this dynamic. And then when it is school holidays, I will pick him up and we will do a myriad of adventures and perhaps house visits with people, have a never-ending adventure. And also just being able to be fully present. So I, make sure all my work time is done during those school terms, and then I can be fully present with him on school holidays and not have to work at the same time because I've had so much time and space and no going to the bus stop. So yeah, stepping into this week of this immersion in this format, in this container, feels beautiful and the beginning of a whole new world. So yeah. Oh, there is so much I could say about this, but I feel like I need to tell the whole story about how the boarding school thing came about, because returning to Australia, it was a bit of a perplexing vision. Not an ultimate surprise. It's something that's been seeded back when I was living in Adelaide, this idea of him going to boarding school at some stage during high school. And the idea of it felt really overwhelming, and starting him not in year 7, but a couple of years after that. And then just the alignment just went clink, 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 clink. Had it all locked in the most wild NikStarr of ways. And yeah, all the portals of potentiality of of how that would look for home life, and the fact that essentially in a few weeks' time I'm officially going to be a homeless person that just happens to have a lot of roofs over my head that are very different at various times. And that felt a little bit unsettling at first until it didn't. And now it's just super exciting and kind of scaling back my things. And I don't know, like I've spent so many years living out of 4 suitcases that it's not a new thing. I just don't have to worry about weight constraints and airplanes and moving countries. Having a little bit of interesting feelings about leaving where we live because I love it. I love my house. I love our suburb. I love all the things in it and around it. And I am very happy to leave though. But when something is such a lovely experience, it's a little slipstream of feelings that rise out of that. But they have all settled beautifully, and yeah, like I'm just all in, all excited, and just ultimately in gratitude. Like I'm just so grateful that this was our landing place moving back to Australia, and how it's been beyond anything that I could have hoped for, and how outrageously happy I am living in Australia, which is the greatest surprise to me. I thought it would be fine, but I actually love it so much. And yeah. And so does Leo. It was very, very interesting. He said to me, we're not going to move back to Bali, are we? And I went, oh, I don't think so. But, we're never going to move back to Australia. But I don't think so. I feel that we will visit because we have to, and that's a home of ours. But he goes, yeah, I don't want to move back there. I went, why is that? He goes, it's easier here. And I said, that's an interesting thing to say. I said, the thing that I realized is actually easier for me, and I know the reasons for that, which are not applicable to you. And I came back to him later and I was like, why is it easier? And he said, because when I walk down the road, the sidewalk's flat and I don't have to worry about falling down a hole. And I was like, yeah, okay. And he goes, there's far less traffic. I don't get stuck in traffic. And I went, okay. And he goes, there's just no trash. And it's just so clean. And like, everything smells nice. I was like, Bali smells nice. Everything smells of incense. He goes, yeah, but there's lots of places that are really funky. Like when you're driving past a dump or a bin area and it's really hot, like it's a really funky smell. And sometimes like if you go past where they've got fish on the road selling, it smells really, really fishy and it makes me feel sick. And I was like, that's so interesting. I said, what about all the other stuff? He goes, yeah, it just feels easier for me here. And he goes, but I promise we will go back. I mean, of course we'll go back. He goes, okay, all right, great. And it was just, I don't know, it's really funny hearing the reasons of things from the mouths of babes, although my babe just keeps growing and getting bigger. The other day he stood next to me and I had my slippers on, which are, they're Archies, and so they've got like a bit of a platform on them. And I used to be a little bit taller than him when I had them on when he was flat-foot. But I had them on And he was almost an inch taller than me. So, like, he's literally grown an inch the last month. And yeah, he's just spinning out at how he's, without question, somewhat taller than me now. So he really doesn't have, and I noticed today when he jumped off the bike, his long pants were a little bit of ankle freezes and they were clearly shorter than his legs. And I was like, okay, all right. So yeah, I can't imagine how tall he's going to be by the time he goes to high school. And he's 12. Yeah. So interesting. And because we've been really focusing on his nutrition and macros as a hardcore vegetarian, aligned with his puberty hormones that are very active and established, and how since we've kind of cracked that code, how he's, I don't know, proportionating, that's a cute word. His proportions are really kind of, what's the word? I don't know. They seem to be settled in his body more, and he's definitely got a lot more vitality, and you can tell it's really working for him. He's very self-guided by that now. He's very interested in making sure that he's got really good macros, and he's got all these fats and carbs, and, he doesn't count calories or anything. He's just very aware of young vegetarians often have a very carb-heavy diet, and how he gets his protein and not having, a 90% carb diet and having it in a nice sweet spot with no restriction or image attachment, but really health focused. And he loves it. Like, he's really taken to it. I know he's such a curious one. He loves researching things and loves fun facts, and he's got a very curious mind, and he likes knowing all these things and dives into them and feels some comfort in knowledge. So yeah, he's a funny one. Anyway, got a little bit sidetracked there with the whole immersion beginning, and he also brings lots of cool stuff to the immersion, although it won't be present next year in immersions. He's always been part of immersions, and new season coming up anyway. That's where we're at. New seasons, new chapters, always running in the NikStarr land. No repeat storylines here on the NikStarr show, and always pivots and diversity and fascinating, very cool unfoldings. I'm going to stop there today. Thank you so much for listening. I am so grateful. I appreciate everyone that listens so much. It's such a beautiful part of my world. All right. Much love. And my website, which I need to update with the upcoming immersion information. Sarah was a bit distracted. I could hear Leo at the window fall off his bicycle. He's trying to learn how to do monos, and he's had a few falls of late trying to get that wheel stand mastered. Back to the www.nikstarr.com, NikStarr. Much love.